What's up guys, I'm Alex with Outer Cape Kitchen, and in today's video we're going to go over how to shuck with your standard oyster knife versus how to shuck with the Outer Cape Kitchen oyster knife. We'll be shucking Wellfleet oysters that are grown here in Wellfleet, Massachusetts, right off Indian Neck. If you ask any shell fishermen, they'll probably tell you their Bear Creek has the best oysters. Having grown up working on the grants out here, I'll give you a few reasons why Wellfleets are the best. Wellfleet Harbor is part of a double harbor ecosystem with Cape Cod Bay, and that drops in a ton of nutrients, enriching the oysters. That, combined with strong tidal flows, keeps the oysters constantly refreshed and well fed. The high salinity of the water, plus the mix of the sandy, rocky seafloor and seagrass, gives Wellfleet oysters that clean, crisp, briny flavor they're known for. And all that adds up to one delicious oyster. Diving into shucking. When we designed the Outer Cape Kitchen oyster knife, we went after three key elements we thought were missing from the standard oyster knife: safety, ergonomics, and versatility. For our demos with our standard oyster knife, we'll shuck on the counter, and then we'll go ahead and demo how to shuck at our palm. But first, let's talk about the grip. With your standard oyster knife handles, they have this hourglass silhouette form, and it's a bit stubbier than most of your standard hand tools. This causes shuckers to choke up on the handle, which exposes the fingers, or choke back on the handle, which makes the palm take most of the brunt of the force that's being applied. So now we can go ahead and set up. We'll throw our rag down, grab an oyster, throw it on top of our rag, and fold our rag over. We want to leave the hinge exposed here, but have our hand protected with the rag. We'll take the tip of the oyster knife and insert it into the hinge of the oyster. Now the first thing you'll notice is that to gain leverage, my arm is cocked into the air. This unnecessarily brings in back muscles and can cause a lot of strain on your wrist that over time can add up to an injury. Now, when you're trying to get that torque, you can start to apply a lot of pressure, and one of three things can happen. The first is that you slip too far into the oyster, and due to the length of the blade, burst the belly. The second is the same thing happens, but your fingers can slam into the oyster shell, which is sharp, and cause cuts. And the worst is if the oyster is brittle or the shell explodes on you, you can jab yourself in your palm, and this one's definitely a bleeder. You want to watch out for that. So we'll be careful when we start shucking and applying our pressure. We'll get it nice and snug. We'll get that pop, remove our rag, go ahead and shimmy our blade along the top shell of the oyster. We can discard that top shell, and then we'll go in, find that bottom muscle, cut the bottom muscle, and we're good to go. Now we'll demo how to palm shuck. We'll go ahead and grab our glove for some hand protection, and the only difference here is our hand is going to be doing the work of the cutting board. So now it just brings your other arm into play. So we'll go ahead, grab our oyster, place it in the palm of our hand with the hinge pointing towards us. We'll take our oyster knife, and again, we want to be super careful here as we start to apply pressure. Make sure we don't slip. Slide the knife in, cut the top muscle, discard, we'll go back in, cut that bottom muscle, and we're good to go. You can see there that I did slip a little, but the oyster belly looks fine there. Now, with your standard oyster knife, it totally gets the job done, nothing wrong with it, but if you're shucking behind the raw bar, it sucks to finish up a shift with bandages, and if you're shucking at home and in no rush, you want to do it safely and efficiently, and over time, that'll just add up to good shucking, and you'll be more efficient in the long run. Now we'll go ahead and demo the Outer Cape Kitchen oyster knife. And right off the bat, you'll see it's a little different. It has a point sticking out of the blade. That's to shuck through the hinge of the oyster. By turning that point 90 degrees, it allows our arm to fold in next to our rib cage and give us a more compact shuck. The muscle group we're going to be using is going to come from our forearm now. So we'll go ahead and set up so we can demo that. We'll throw our rag down, grab an oyster, and fold our rag over, exposing the hinge. Grab our oyster knife. We'll be using the hinge part of the blade, and we'll go ahead and insert the hinge into the oyster. My arm's locked against my rib cage now. So instead of using your back and the weight of your body to get that torque, we're going to be using our fingertips. And we'll throw those over the back of the blade. This is going to be similar to shucking a clam. And that's going to be all the pressure that we need. It's going to be more about finding that sweet spot than it is the force. So we'll get that finesse. There's our pop. We'll remove the rag. Shimmy our blade along the top shell, making sure not to burst the oyster. Discard. And we'll go in and cut that bottom muscle. Voila. That's how you shuck using the Outer Cape Kitchen oyster knife, going through the hinge of the oyster, but we can also go through the side of the oyster using this rounded top part of the blade. Now, people like to side shuck for a few reasons. One is sometimes the hinge can curl down, upward, be brittle, or obstructed, and for those reasons, people will go through the side of the oyster. Now, this is also beloved by shuckers at shucking competitions. Knowing that the muscle of the oyster is in this top right region looking down at it, if we can get our blade through the side of the oyster, we can make that cut in one movement, making us much faster. Now we're going to be palm shucking. You can also counter shuck and side shuck using the rag. For the demo, we'll use a glove. Again, oyster in the palm. We have the hinge pointing towards us. We'll take the rounded part of our blade and we'll go ahead and shimmy it along the oyster. We already have it stuck in. We'll get a little deeper and then we'll go ahead and make a swipe along the top shell, cutting that top muscle. Then we can go ahead and peel that top shell back, revealing the oyster. And then we'll go in, find that bottom muscle, give it a cut, give it a flip so we know it's fully severed, and we're ready to go. And that's how you shuck using the Outer Cape Kitchen oyster knife. We demoed how to hinge shuck, going through the hinge of the oyster. We view that as a safer, more ergonomic, more compact shuck. And we demoed how to side shuck using the top part of the blade. That's for speed, efficiency, and getting the job done. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a few things. Throw us a like, a comment, subscribe for more content. And we really appreciate all the love and support we've been getting on the road as we stop in at seafood markets and seafood restaurants. It means a lot to us. So with that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.